Weather forecast from the Met Office. You might need to turn your heating on again tonight, as it is going to turn a little chilly once more, with some clear skies and light winds, all due to an area of high pressure. The perfect ingredients for our temperatures to take a bit of a drop. Worth bearing in mind, we still have an occluded front across parts of the southeast, so a few showery bursts still to come here, and a bit of showery rain pushing into some eastern parts overnight as well. But otherwise, it is a dry picture with some lengthy clear skies. Like I said, those temperatures will be dropping. Towns and cities falling to mid to high single figures. Rural spots dipping close to, or perhaps even a little bit below freezing in some places. So a touch of grass frost, even a bit of air frost perhaps, particularly across some parts of Scotland. Now, as we go through tomorrow morning, still some showers across parts of East Anglia and maybe Kent, and there may be a few other showers across southern parts through tomorrow itself, but generally dry. A band of cloud with some outbreaks of rain lingering across some central and northern parts of England. A dry start across Northern Ireland, and mostly bright and fine across parts of Scotland, albeit just a little bit of cloud and a few spots of rain towards the far east and southeast. Through the day itself, that band of cloud and any rain is going to fizzle out as it gradually edges a bit further westward. So apart from one or two showers towards the south and maybe across some parts of Wales and southwest England, it is going to be a dry picture by the afternoon with some sunny breaks. Yes, clouds building through the day, but some decent sunshine on offer, and in the sunshine feeling warm enough even though temperatures are a touch below average for the time of year. Another chilly night to come as we go through tomorrow night and into Thursday, and then a fine picture through Thursday itself for most, though some blustery winds towards the northwest and also towards the southeast, and here there will be a bit more cloud and perhaps one or two showers. More fine weather on Friday, but by Saturday, well, that's when we could see a band of rain pushing its way in. Bye-bye.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Oh, the front pages are a bloodbath for Keir Starmer. Morgan McSweeney, his chief of staff, embroiled in another scandal. Do you think Morgan McSweeney can last it out? And is he tied intrinsically to Sir Keir Starmer? I think those two will have to go together if they do. The front page of The Sun here, really interesting. On the top left, migrants getting free taxis to GPs. Oof, we'll be digging into that one. Reeves is facing a £30 billion black hole, and Donald Trump is making all the headlines as ever. Trust me, you won't want to miss this late edition.
You could bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. And if that wasn't enough, you'll also get to drive away in this brand new motorhome. This brand new 2025 Benimar Primero could be yours. It comes with all the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £74,000 and comfortably sleeps 4 people. This prize package is worth over £104,000. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good evening, I'm Alex Armstrong and this is Patrick Christys, tonight's late edition. What a bloodbath these front pages are, breaking right now.
It's time to end the failed experiment of open borders. You have to end it now. See, I can tell you, I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell.
Well, Donald Trump has done what Donald Trump does best. Once again, he has torn up all the rules of diplomacy. On immigration, but also this.
I look at London, where you have a terrible mayor, terrible mayor, and it's been so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law, but you're in a different country. You can't do that.
Well, all of that and so much more. You're going to want to stick around for GB News' very own late show live from midnight tonight. Isn't that right, Bev?
That's right. Donald Trump is the only show in town yet again, and we are here in Washington to digest it all. What did he say at the UN agenda today? No script. He just went off and he just was winging it, and it was beautiful to see. I've also sat down, I've spoken to Seb Gorka, a phenomenal politician, always tells you what he thinks. Here's a quick glimpse.
If you believe in humanity, if you want to save those children, those young women, every nation of the world should stand up and secure their borders.
Trust me, it's a day you do not want to miss, The Late Show Live. But back across the pond over here in domestic news, do you remember this?
£22 billion black hole.
The £22 billion black hole of £22 billion. Of the £22 billion black hole, the £22 billion in-year black hole.
Well, it turns out there's yet another black hole Rachel Reeves needs to fill, and this time it's 30 billion. And
I invite you all to join this government of service.
Well, the Labour Party has found itself yet again in what could be a massive scandal. Leaked emails allegedly suggest the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney, was advised by lawyers to describe £700,000 in hidden donations as a mistake. Oh, not looking good. And finally...
there doesn't seem to be very many people about. Hello. Is this an illegal migrant place?
Absolutely iconic, isn't he? The taxpayer is reportedly forking out millions of pounds a year for migrants to travel hundreds of miles in taxis for doctors' appointments. Joining me this evening on my superstar panel, GB News contributor Will Kingston, a comedian Paul Cox and political commentator Andy Twelves. But before we get stuck in, let's get your news with Tatiana Sanchez.
Alex, thank you. The top stories. Donald Trump told the UN General Assembly it's time to end the failed experiment of open borders as he accused the UN of facilitating an invasion of Western countries. Donald Trump said the European continent is in serious trouble over migration.
It's time to end the failed experiment of open borders. You have to end it now. See, I can tell you. I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell.
A 59-year-old man has been found guilty of trying to assassinate Donald Trump on a golf course in September last year. Ryan Ruth was arrested after a rifle was seen poking through bushes at Mr. Trump's West Palm Beach golf course in Florida. The incident occurred weeks after a bullet grazed the president's ear in another assassination attempt at a rally in Pennsylvania. Ruth pleaded not guilty to all 5 charges against him and opted to defend himself in court. But he was found guilty of all counts following a trial in Florida, and reports say he tried to stab himself in the neck with a pen when the verdict was being read. The Home Office has lost a Court of Appeal bid to challenge a High Court ruling granting an Eritrean man a temporary block on being deported to France. The ruling will be a blow to ministers who'd been hoping to make headway with their one-in, one-out migrant returns deal with France. Under the deal, the UK can send back any migrant who crosses the Channel illegally in return for accepting the same number of migrants in France who have a valid asylum claim here. However, only 4 people have been deported under the scheme so far, including one Afghan individual who was deported to France this afternoon. The Eritrean man was granted a temporary block on his removal after he claimed he'd been a victim of modern slavery. Local TV stations say they will not air Jimmy Kimmel Live despite Disney-owned ABC bringing back the comedian's late-night show a week after he was suspended for comments he made about the killing of Charlie Kirk. Nexstar and Sinclair, which together run dozens of stations affiliated to ABC, said they would continue to replace the show with regular programming. Sinclair's Vice Chairman Jason Smith said Mr. Kimmel's remarks were inappropriate and deeply insensitive at a critical moment for our country. And Google has vowed to offer YouTube accounts that were permanently banned for political speech the ability to be reinstated. Both average users and well-known figures like White House counter-terrorism chief Sebastian Gorka and War Room podcast host Steve Bannon, who were permanently banned in recent years for COVID or election-related content. The lawyer representing Google wrote, reflecting the company's commitment to free expression, YouTube will provide an opportunity for all creators to rejoin the platform if the company terminated their channels for repeated violations of COVID and elections integrity policies that are no longer in effect. Those are the latest headlines. For now, it's over to Alex.
Take the GB News family with you on any device. As long as you have an internet connection, tune into GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond.
Welcome back to Late Edition with me, Alex Armstrong. Well, let's get straight into Wednesday's front pages, shall we? The Telegraph. Trump says the West is going to hell over migration and that Europe is invaded by illegal aliens. He also attacks Khan on Sharia law. The Sun. Migrants get free taxis to see GPs and Danny Dyer quits strictly after an injury. The Metro. US SIM farm plot smashed. Dismantled telecoms shut down threats during the UN summit. The Express. 500,000 to lose winter fuel payments. Not welcome news to anyone watching tonight, I guess. The Eye. Reeves facing £30 billion hole as pressure grows for tax hikes in her budget. 100,000 pensioners also forecast to lose winter fuel payments on there. The Guardian. Trump tells European leaders your countries are going to hell. And a similar tone on The Independent. Trump tells UN your countries are going to hell over migration. The Mirror. World's most powerful man, baby. The Daily Mail. This is the big one, isn't it? Email damns Starmer's top aide in £740,000 donations row. And the Tories are demanding a police probe into Morgan McSweeney and hidden funding for Sir Keir Starmer. The Times. Shoot down Russian jets in NATO sky, says Trump. OK, well, let's get the thoughts of my panel. Will Kingston, Paul Cox and Andy Twelves. Gentlemen, quite another very, very bad day for the Prime Minister, Paul. The Daily Mail here leading on that Morgan McSweeney scandal, his second one in perhaps only a couple of weeks.
Yeah, they just keep coming for Starmer, don't they? And whenever someone at the height of British politics in particular is entrenched in scandal after scandal after scandal like this, we usually see it end in one way and one way only. History will repeat itself. Starmer, I think now, unfortunately for him, and there are many people watching this who won't see it as unfortunate at all, but unfortunate for him, I think he's now on the precipice of the end of his premiership, because what will happen now is it won't matter how big or insignificant a scandal is, it just adds weight, the continuing weight, which eventually shifts the balance and off he goes. The biggest thing for our country, I think, is who replaces him. And maybe it's too premature to start talking. I'm thinking Andy 12s. He was talking in the green room saying he's ready.
I'm ready to run.
It's interesting you talk about what happens when a leader gets into a rut like this and it feels like the world is against them. And it has that feeling of the last days of the Sunak government. Admittedly, that was after over a decade in power, not after 1 year. But the other thing is the media now actively just starts looking to actually build that narrative, which means it is very, very difficult, if not impossible, for a politician to turn that around.
Yeah, Andy, I mean, this is not a good look for the man who promised us integrity in politics, saying he would clean up the act the Tories left behind. They are genuinely, at this point in time, looking just as bad as the Tories were in their final gasps for breath in government.
I think, obviously the story isn't a new one. The Electoral Commission fined Labour together back in, 2021, for when Morgan McSweeney... 20 it would have been when Morgan McSweeney left to join Keir Starmer's office. This email is the new part of the story, which kind of suggests that it wasn't just an administrative error, it was actually an effort to cover it up. So I think, honestly, the difference that I would quite like as a Labour Party member between the Labour government and the Tory governments that were riddled by scandal over their 14 years in power is that actually Morgan McSweeney will go, yeah, this was wrong and I'll resign. Yeah, well, I would quite like the accountability of, was he Chief of Staff? At least the most senior official in Number 10. But the issue is then when Morgan McSweeney goes, then the rest of Number 10 collapses. Paul Ovenden, the Director of Strategy, left last week. Claire Reynolds, the political director, left the week before. Peter Mandelson, the ambassador to the US, was also quite a close advisor. Over the last 6 months, you've seen a real hemorrhaging of key officials that were there from the start of Keir Starmer's time as leader of the opposition. I can only see if Morgan McSweeney resigns, which I think he should actually, given this email, Keir Starmer will have to go.
Well, before I get to you, Will, because, Paul, it's not that long, it feels like a lifetime ago. Remember Sue Gray? Sacked. Yes. Sue Gray got sacked as well. That was his last Chief of Staff. I mean, that's only been a year. This is not... the turnover rate there must be pretty bad.
Yeah, and there's one common denominator, and it's Keir Starmer. You keep having Chief of Staff after Chief of Staff after advisor after advisor. Yeah, but I'm playing to the audience here, Andy. Give me a chance.
Sorry.
You're right, it is, but it's only been a year. Yeah, so it's 1 year, 2 Chief of Staffs, 2 scandals gone. And Sue Gray, I mean, he owed her. Really, whatever you might think of Sue Gray, he owed Sue Gray one.
She did get herself into the House of Lords, so I think she's.
So maybe she was well looked after there, but it just goes to show that there's no difference between the two parties.
But there's 2 chiefs of staff, but to Andy's point, there is many people in the apparatus who are now gone, and this is what happens when you don't have a leader that has political instincts and conviction.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's take a little change of tune now. Let's go live to Washington, D.C. with Late Show Live star presenter Bev Turner. Bev, lovely to see you. Tell us what's happening in Washington.
Hi, Alex. Well, honestly, it's interesting listening to all of this Labour drama going on there. I think it was Will that was saying there that once the media are starting to smell blood, they will just keep digging now. And Morgan McSweeney is going to be on very thin ice very soon. And also, it's clearly what the Conservatives are doing as well, because they're obviously, I'm just reading it here about them, taking this unprecedented step of publishing leaked correspondence of the legal advice given to Morgan McSweeney. Now, why would the Conservatives do that? Because they smell blood as well. They know that Starmer's in trouble. So they will just start playing all sorts of dirty tricks now to try and topple him from that position at the moment of Prime Minister.
Baffling to me, Bev. And of course, moving on to American matters, Donald Trump, we have not been able to get him off our screens tonight because his speech to the United Nations, which is absolutely sensational, no teleprompter, no escalator, as you happen to point out on the way in there too. But what an incredible speech. He pretty much went after everyone on net zero, on open immigration. What's the reaction been in DC?
Well, no teleprompter, no filter. We know that about Donald Trump, right? And actually, I thought it was just quite beautiful. I don't think there is any concern here, actually, amongst the government in Washington, D.C. about what was said. I think, as he said at the start of the speech, well, you don't have a teleprompter, you talk from the heart. And he went for all the big issues, didn't he? And in fact, there was obviously the technical issue of not just the teleprompter, but also the escalator. And Caroline Levitt, the spokesperson for the White House, has just tweeted in the last few moments, actually, a comment from the Times newspaper preceding the speech, in which it said that there are UN representatives working behind the scenes, joking that they might turn off the escalators and then say they've got no money left. Sorry, Trump, we can't turn on the escalator. So she's now saying if that is the case, somebody needs to be sacked. So, you know, they don't let this stuff go, this administration. They are so loyal to their president that if it is found that somebody did turn off the escalator, the elevator, sorry, in the escalator in the background, behind the scenes, then they will want somebody to lose their job over it. That is what they are like.
Bev, we've got that clip actually. Can we just show it to the audience so they can see exactly what happened at that escalator? Let's play that for you now.
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, President Trump. Good morning, Trump.
Well, there you can see Donald Trump walking up the escalator, walking. You know, interesting, Donald Trump does have a thing about stairs. I think he's got a problem going downstairs. He does get nervous, hence why he always tries to hold his wife's hand, Melania Trump, the First Lady. Well, I wouldn't describe her like a cow, personally.
No. Right, OK, that is not what Paul Cox was saying. Cows can't walk downstairs.
Indeed. Well, that's true, actually. Well, Donald Trump pointed out a series of hilarious errors at the United Nations General Assembly, including that faulty escalator that you just saw and the blank teleprompter. We've obviously seen that clip there. Bev, has there been more reaction off the back of that by the American public? Because I think you pointed out important. The American administration has pointed out something important. It seemed very manufactured, didn't it? It just switched off as soon as he stepped on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as I say, Caroline Levitt has made that allegation. The thing about Donald Trump is, you know, he's 79 years old. Remember that. It's easy to forget that he's nearly 80. His energy is off the scale. I mean, I travelled with him for a couple of days, as you know, last week, and I don't think he sleeps. I genuinely don't think he sleeps. So when something like that happens, you can almost see it in his eyes. He's thinking, I've got a lot to deal with. The last thing I need is an escalator that isn't working. And it probably slightly played into why he just loaded his gun when he went up on that lectern and just let them all have it, gave them both barrels of everything that he thought about, everything that he thinks about and everything he thinks about the UN. I actually interviewed Seb Gorka just a few moments ago. Now, he is the Assistant Deputy to the President. He's a very powerful man here in DC. He's spoken to Late Night Live exclusively. So I'm going to show you at the top of our show in only about 45 minutes or so what Seb was telling me today about all sorts of really important issues, actually. Response to what Trump said today in New York, but also talking about illegal migration, how they have managed to stop that here, talking about smashing the drug gangs, which they've done here in America. I mean, they literally dropped bombs on them from drones, so it's not necessarily something that we could do in the UK, but he explains to me why they are allowed to do that here. We've also got a big story in town about the fact that Google are going to have to reinstate accounts that were banned from YouTube during the pandemic. Neil Oliver's going to be on the show this evening, ladies and gentlemen, to tell me about that, as someone who has been cancelled from time to time, to say how he feels. You know, this administration are putting free speech, the ability to say what you think, at the heart and centre of their policy. It's a huge difference between the US here and the UK, of course. And we've got lots of other fantastic stories. And we're introducing, of course, new panellist faces to GB News, which I love doing, and the Americans don't hold back. If you saw last night, you'll have seen what I mean. So we have somebody from the Democrats and somebody from the Republicans tonight, and we will be slugging it out over all the big issues that matter here and affect you guys in the UK.
I watched the show from start to finish last night. I have to say, it's possibly the only channel where in America where you can actually hear both sides of the debate. Usually you only get one side. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. Please, everyone, tune into Bev Turner tonight on The Late Show Live, happening in just 40 minutes' time. Thank you so much for joining us, Bev. Let's go back very quickly on Morgan McSweeney. Andy, your party's being unravelled as we speak. It's happening weekly. Do you think this is it for Keir Starmer?
I think if Morgan McSweeney resigns, then Number 10 will quickly fall apart, to be honest. I mean, this is the guy that ran his leadership campaign, was, you know, I think the only, if not one of only a few staffers who were there from when he was elected to leader of the opposition all the way through to when he became Prime Minister. He is, without a doubt, the most trusted advisor in Number 10. I think without him, it quickly unravels. But, you know, I think it is bizarre that the Tories have decided to die on this hill. Yeah. You know, it's just stupid. Like, the 14 years of unethical behaviour that they displayed, and they're trying to get on the moral high ground. I mean, come on.
I'd argue with him it is unravelling pretty quickly as well, mate.
OK, yeah, indeed it is. Well, a spokesman for Labour Together has said this. Labour Together proactively raised concerns about its own reporting of donations to the Electoral Commission in 2020. Investigation with which Labour Together fully cooperated was completed in 2021. The outcome was made public. A spokesman for the Electoral Commission said it thoroughly investigated the late reporting of donations by Labour Together in 2021. He added, "We were satisfied that the evidence proved beyond reasonable doubt that failures by the association occurred without reasonable excuse. Offences were determined and they were sanctioned accordingly." And, of course, just a reminder of The Late Show Live at midnight tonight. You do not want to miss it. That was just a taster of what Bev Turner's going to be going into. Let's have a look.
If you believe in humanity, if you want to save those children, those young women, every nation of the world should stand up and secure their borders.
Well, coming up in just a moment, more to discuss from Donald Trump, including this.
It's time to end the failed experiment of open borders. You have to end it now. See, I can tell you, I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell.
Spot on as ever. I'm Alex Armstrong. This is Patrick Christys Tonight, Late Edition.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'd much rather hear what you have to say. So send in your opinions to gbviews@gbnews.com. Keep them clean, and you never know, I might read them out. With my panel here on Jubes & Co, we debate, we get stuck into the issues of the day on a show where all views are welcome, especially yours. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
We've been here for a few hours now, and every hour there's just more and more people here coming to celebrate Gibraltar's National Day. You can see all around, it's a sea of red and white, people dressing as the flag. We've got huge flags up, including this massive Union flag, as you can see there, with the Gibraltar flag right in the middle of it. Everybody here today telling us all how proud they are to be Gibraltarian and how proud they are to be British. And one of those is Simi. Simi, you're Gibraltarian, you were alive at the time of that referendum.
Oh yeah.
You know, why is today so important?
Because it's important because we don't want to be any other nation. We've been brought up British. English is our main language everywhere, and our second language is Spanish. So we're very proud of being British and everything that's British with it. You know, the monarchs and the political parties, everything.
And tell us about this rosette as well.
This rosette used to belong to my father, my late father, And he used to wear this on National... This was done on National Day, and I wear it so that my father is close to my heart. For him, it was a very big day.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Simi, for talking to us. And just as you can hear from Simi there, just the sense of how important today is for all these people here celebrating being British.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight, late edition with me, Alex Armstrong. Take a look at this.
It's time to end the failed experiment of open borders. You have to end it now. See, I can tell you, I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell.
They're going to hell, all of our countries, and he's not wrong. He's not wrong, is he, Will? Because this is a line we hear time and time again, but only Trump and a few leaders are actually saying it as it is. And we do know our economies are up the creek, to put it lightly. Immigration has exploded in the last few years. Open door immigration has exploded for illegal migration. He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. And that's after the whole escalator debacle. To be able to pull yourself together. Stationary escalators are my biggest irrational fear. So if I was in that position, I would have been deeply unnerved. He's not wrong. He's not wrong because we now know, and we've been bullied for years and years and years to say that immigration is this unfettered good and it's also an unfettered economic benefit. And we now have enough evidence to say that, yes, if you're getting rocket scientists into your country, that's going to be fantastic, economically beneficial, and they'll probably be tip-top men or women. But the vast majority of people that are coming into Europe now and coming into the United Kingdom are net detractors from an economy, as well as also being what I would suggest net detractors from the culture. And so he understands that, and I think most of the United Kingdom now, the Overton window has shifted to the point where they understand that as well.
Yeah, this is on the front page of 2 newspapers today, at least. Actually 3, should I say. Well, 4, even with the Mirror included. So he's obviously, Trump has made a big impact here in the UK. We obviously listen to what the President of the United States says, and many people will be asking, has he made false claims here, Andy? Has he made false claims about climate change? Has he made false claims about Sharia? I'm not saying he has, but many people will say he has.
I think it was... obviously, when the US President talks at the UN General Assembly, people listen. The leader of the free world, etc., etc. But I think a lot of what he's saying was just rubbish. He was just talking pure, just waffle. Do you know what I mean? Like, why would the Mayor of London ever be referenced in the President of the United States of America's speech? Well, you don't see Keir Starmer going and talking about the Mayor of Minneapolis or the Mayor of Chicago. Like, But does Trump not have bigger things? I think the only person going to hell are the people that he's protecting by not releasing the Epstein files, to be perfectly honest. Are we forgetting this? The man that won't release the Epstein files, the man who is deporting valid visa-holding immigrants in the US because they voice opinions he doesn't like. The man who's empowering his secret police and ICE to go around in plain clothes with their faces covered to go and grab people who are illegally in the US. Is that a man who can be lecturing us on who's going to hell? Come on.
Well, you put the counter-argument, right, and you make some good points, and I won't take that away from you, but you put the counter-argument...
Thank you.
Yeah, well, that's a touch. That's probably about as much as you'll get from me. But the counterpoint here is the story that I told tonight as my monologue, which was that there's a man who's just been jailed for 12 months because he was basically a paedophile who tried to touch the girl on the leg, stroked her hair, and then went on to tried to do a similar thing to an adult woman. I'd rather have President Trump going around doing those things here than have men who I think are essentially...
I don't think the two should be. I don't think the two should be mutually exclusive, to be honest.
Well, no, I think America won't have that problem.
I think America have much higher violent crime rates than us, to be honest, and he's still violating free speech on a much larger scale than we are.
All right, let's bring in Paul, because, regardless of what you think politically about President Trump, one thing I do always think that he's right about is that he's honest. He says it, he's literally had no teleprompter. He said what he thought tonight, and I think there's something that a lot of politicians can learn about from Donald Trump in that way.
One thing I love about Donald Trump, particularly as a political comedic commentator, is that honesty. Now, you can define that honesty as you like. It's honest from his perspective. He talks without the teleprompter, as you say. There's not very many men and women in that room that could do that. So you get an entertainment. There are things that he says that make you sort of, even from the right's perspective, make you think, oh, crikey. We don't hear that because of the convention. We've had this 100-year convention of sort of two-party politics in the UK, two-party politics in the US. We've never seen anything like it in any of our lifetimes. It's fascinating. Sadiq Khan doesn't get a mention because it's frivolous or irrelevant. It's because Sadiq Khan is at the epicentre of the problem in our culture in this country from Trump's perspective.
He lied about us. He lied about Khan because he said that Khan had put Sharia law in London. It's just absolute rubbish. He's just lying.
Here's the point about that. And the single best summary of Trump is that his detractors, his supporters take him seriously, but not literally, and his detractors take him literally, but not seriously. Now, in this instance, what he was saying, I think, again, and you can have questions as to whether this is good for a leader, he wasn't saying literally he's taking on Sharia law in the United Kingdom. He was talking about the broader problem of Islamism and how Sadiq Khan could be seen to be enabling it in some way, shape or form.
All right,
I think he was he's just senile.
I want to move on because I want to talk about the front page of the Daily Express because many people watching this show might be impacted by this because we know half a million OAPs will lose their winter fuel payments. So that's 500,000 retirees could lose their winter fuel payments in the next 4 years, according to a bombshell analysis. The pensioners will be hit by Rachel Reeves' freeze on how much income is exempt from tax and changes to the benefit. A former pensions minister warned it amounts to a punishing stealth raid by the Chancellor. With income, currently OAPs with income over 35 grand will not receive the payment worth up to £300. This isn't quite the backpedalling that it was sold to be, was it? I mean, this is 35 grand. It's actually not a lot of money.
I mean, in most places in the
especially
country.
when you're paying these extortionate energy bills.
I think in most places in the country, 35 grand's pretty good.
But to pay the energy bills, we've all got the same energy bill prices. They're pretty extortionate.
I think 35 grand's pretty good. Outside of London.
Yeah, but do you think they should be choosing? Some OAPs will have to, some of them. Will choose.
But 35 grand.
Well, what about pensioners in London?
Pensioners in London?
Yeah.
Pensioners in London generally do better because they've got the state pension and the private pension on top of it.
Well, no, I think that's a bit...
I think anyone under 35 grand should be getting support, whether that's students or pensioners.
Yeah. Paul?
The elitist Labour view, Andy. Never heard anything like the bourgeoisie of London.
They'll replay that clip when he's running for office.
They will. Yeah, that would be unfair. I mean, it's one way of tackling the triple lock without actually tackling the triple lock, isn't it? Freeze the pensioners to death.
It's true.
They're avoiding the elephants in the room all over the place. This isn't what was promised. They didn't backpedal to the degree that they said they would, and that's what the point is. We can argue till the cows come home about whether 35 grand is enough or not enough. It should be enough, but our economy allows it not to be enough. That's the problem.
I completely agree. After 15 years of Tory mismanagement, I'm finally glad we've got a government that's taken the economy seriously.
You got back onto the path.
There we go, guys. The problem that this government faces is, yes, there needs to be severe cuts across the economy, but they seem to pick the cuts that A, don't raise a lot of money, but B, annoy a huge amount of people. It is actually quite staggering political incompetence that they manage to do both at the same time. There are things which would raise much more money in terms of spending and annoy far less people, like, for example, net zero, but they choose not to do that because of ideology.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and I think people will be asking the question, why is it pensioners always seem to be made to suffer?
Because they don't vote Labour.
Oh, behave, come on.
Well, it is.
They get an above inflation-based increase on their pensions every single year. Could you imagine if working people got an above inflation-based pay rise every single year? They demonise the unions for this. I mean, come on. They don't have a bad deal in this country.
Well, I think they're getting a worse and worse deal, and these are people who have worked exceptionally hard to build our country to it where it is today, and now it's being ruined because, unfortunately, incompetent governments can't get their act together. But anyway, a reminder of the Late Show live at midnight tonight with Bev Turner, including her big interview with US Director of Counterterrorism, Sebastian Gorka. Trust me, you will not want to miss it.
It's not about politics. It's not about persecution. It's about the welfare state. And as you said, getting that free mobile phone and that cushy little hotel in Brighton, that's not being a refugee. That's being an illegal immigrant who's playing the system. Here in the US, we've stopped it.
It'll be bombshell interview, that is, isn't it? Well, coming up very shortly.
£22 billion black hole.
The £22 billion black hole of £22 billion. Of the £22 billion black hole, the £22 billion in-year black hole.
Well, it seems like the biggest black hole is forming under the Treasury at number 11. That's got even bigger now, hasn't that, £22 billion? How much bigger do you think it's got? This is Patrick Christys tonight, late edition with me, Alex Armstrong.
Hello again, very good evening to you. I'm here with your GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. You might need to turn your heating on again tonight as it is going to turn a little chilly once more with some clear skies and light winds, all due to an area of high pressure, the perfect ingredients for our temperatures to take a bit of a drop. Worth bearing in mind, we still have an occluded front across parts of the southeast, so a few showery bursts still to come here and a bit of showery rain pushing into some eastern parts overnight as well, but otherwise it is a dry picture with some lengthy clear skies. Like I said, those temperatures will be dropping. Towns and cities falling to mid to high single figures. Rural spots dipping close to or perhaps even a little bit below freezing in some places. So a touch of grass frost, even a bit of air frost perhaps, particularly across some parts of Scotland. Now, as we go through tomorrow morning, still some showers across parts of East Anglia and maybe Kent, and there may be a few other showers across southern parts through tomorrow itself, but generally dry. A band of cloud with some outbreaks of rain lingering across some central and northern parts of England. A dry start across Northern Ireland and mostly bright and fine across parts of Scotland, albeit just a little bit of cloud and a few spots of rain towards the far east and southeast. Through the day itself, that band of cloud and any rain's going to fizzle out as it gradually edges a bit further westward. So apart from one or two showers towards the south and maybe across some parts of Wales and southwest England, it is going to be a dry picture by the afternoon with some sunny breaks. Yes, clouds building through the day, but some decent sunshine on offer, and in the sunshine feeling warm enough even though temperatures are a touch below average for the time of year. Another chilly night to come as we go through tomorrow night and into Thursday, and then a fine picture through Thursday itself for most, though some blustery winds towards the northwest and also towards the southeast, and here there will be a bit more cloud and perhaps one or two showers. More fine weather on Friday, but by Saturday, well, that's when we could see a band of rain pushing its way in. Bye-bye.
Miriam, you can't be serious. Scrapping the triple lock on state pensions? Madness.
Andrew, we just can't carry on pretending. The numbers just don't add up. We've got to be honest with people. We've got to face the facts. That's what people want.
Well, that's what you get on GB News and on Britain's Newsroom. Lively debates, lively conversation.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first, and we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight, late edition with me, Alex Armstrong. Well, let's go live to Washington, D.C. with Late Show Live star presenter Bev Turner. Bev, welcome back to the show. I want to draw your attention to the front page of The Times, because it seems like the warmongering is starting to get back into the newspapers again. Shoot down Russian jets in NATO sky, says Trump. This is a real 180-degree turn by Donald Trump, who was not that long ago, of course, hoping to get a peace deal with Putin. We saw him at the state visit. Do we think we're heading onto a war footing?
Look, he's really frustrated by this situation in Ukraine and Russia. He thought that he was going to solve this conflict, like he said, within about 24 hours, and he's resolutely failed to do so. He's given Putin so many chances, actually in opposition to what most people would have thought he might do, because the assumption was that he might get into power and start bombing Russia. He hasn't done that. He's actually, as he's very proud of telling us, and he said today at the UN, he's probably brought about 6 or 7 world conflicts to an end. This is a change of tack today. After he'd seen Zelensky in New York, he's come away and he's said that he believes that Zelensky get his land back and they can defeat Russia. This is a very much a change in tone. I'm going to be interested to speak to my American guests this evening about that, as to whether they think that that is anything that will come to any sort of action, particularly on behalf of the Americans. So, yeah, one of our stories we're going to be talking about this evening, Alex. And we've also got a journalist we're going to be talking to who was in the room today at the UN General Assembly when Donald Trump let loose on what he thought of everybody in that crowd, that the West is basically going to hell. So we're going to be talking to her. And we're also going to be discussing the free speech issue here is obviously huge, and YouTube have been told by the court here, basically in America, that they have to start reinstating accounts that were banned, particularly during the pandemic. A lot of people had their accounts banned because they said counter-narrative, what was deemed at the time to be misinformation. This is one of the issues that this administration will not let go. One of those men who was banned, who lost his YouTube platform, was Seb Gorka. I've done an interview with him. We talked about immigration, we talked about smashing gangs, we talked about drugs and how the US is obliterating or winning the war on drugs by, frankly, quite literally obliterating boats with drug lords in them. So don't miss it. We'll be with you in just about 20 minutes.
Can't wait. Thank you so much, Bev. Looking forward to what's going to be a bombshell show, I'm sure of it. Let's bring in the panel here on this story about NATO. Trump, when asked about whether we should shoot down jets, Russian jets going into NATO airspace, he said, yes, I do, Will. What do we make of that?
3 words, Alex: peace through strength. And I think it's really important that we remember that. It's something which was forgotten during the Biden administration. If you actually take a strong line, if you put forward this rhetoric to say we will not accept this type of behaviour, then as a result of that, someone like Putin responds to strength. I think this is the right type of rhetoric.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Paul, what do you make of it all?
Yeah, I think Will's absolutely right. Particularly the rhetoric. Putin will respond better to the rhetoric. Look, from our perspective here in the UK, I think even we're naive to the threat of Russia. Just today, in fact, lawmakers in Lithuania said it's now legal. Their military can legally shoot down drones in the country. What we don't see is in the Baltic countries like Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, that border Belarus, that border Russia, they are constantly under threat. They were only under occupation 30 years ago. They are constantly under threat. We are on the verge of a potential World War III, and we need someone like Trump and the rhetoric of Trump. I know Europe is trying to stand together. We need to stand together, irrespective of the EU and our differences. As one group, we need to stand together. But we need Trump as well, because we need his money.
Briefly, your thoughts on Trump saying he wants to shoot down jets? Very briefly.
I think it's very interesting, the rhetoric change, because obviously in the campaign he said he was going to end the war on day one. It would appear the only thing he can stop on day one is an escalator.
All right. You've had it there from Andy Tolls. Let's talk about the ice, shall we? Because Rachel Reeves is facing a £30 billion black hole. Now people are calling for more tax hikes. Paul, should we be rewarding Labour with tax hikes when they've blown the budget even bigger than the Tories have?
No, it's incredible, right? Because from my perspective, the black hole is entirely contrived and invented in order to support previous budgets that are now dead. So the black hole has to get bigger to support the next budget, because the previous budgets weren't working. So we've got this manufactured, contrived black hole, which was never any bigger than 9 billion quid. It became 22. It's now become 33. Before we know, it's 50, and it's all manufactured to support Labour's ridiculous policy.
But to the extent there is a black hole, it's going up because borrowing costs are going up, because taxation is getting higher, and so the answer from this treasurer is to tax more. This is, by definition, a death spiral this economy is going through, because no one has the guts to lower spending dramatically. That is the problem that this economy faces.
Yeah, I mean, Andy, the only people to blame for this bigger black hole is now the Labour Party. They can't keep throwing it over to the Tories. It's their economy now. There's a billion things they could have saved, including that stupid carbon capture plant. We want to spend 30 billion on it or something ridiculous. But what's going on?
I mean, obviously over the last week, the US private companies have pledged 150 billion investment in the UK's AI infrastructure. I think, obviously there's going to be a deficit because we've inherited quite a bad thing.
We're say 14 years of Tory rule.
But genuinely, do you know what I mean? I think it does take about 18 months to 2 years to turn around an economy. I think we are still dealing with the spending consequences of the last administration. Oh, you know, I think, you know, his time will come. But I think if she needs to get a cheaper black hole than 33 billion, I can take her down Soho and sort her out. Do you know what I mean?
Twelves with the jokes.
I apologise for the lewd remarks on this panel tonight. You just can't get the staff these days, can we? Just a reminder of a more professional show that's about to air on our TV screens, The Late Show Live at midnight tonight with Bev Turner, including her big interview with US Director of Counter-Terrorism, Sebastian Gorka. You won't want to miss it.
It's not about politics. It's not about persecution. It's about the welfare state. And as you said, getting that free mobile phone and that cushy little hotel in Brighton, that's not being a refugee. That's being an illegal immigrant who's playing the system. Here in the US, we've stopped it.
Brilliant stuff, eh? Coming up in just a moment, though.
There doesn't seem to be very many people about. Hello. Is this an illegal migrant place?
That's just iconic. I love that clip so much. It's just brilliant.
Clip of the year.
Yeah, it is. The taxpayers reportedly forking up millions of pounds a year, which is not funny for migrants to travel hundreds of miles in taxis for doctor's appointments. It cost me an arm and a leg. This is Patrick Christys tonight, Late Edition, with me, Alex Armstrong.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Parts of Europe could see some heavy rain and some thundery downpours as we head our way into Wednesday. Mostly dry and settled across Greece, plenty of sunshine here, but through Italy, around the Adriatic coastline, also southern parts of France and Switzerland could see some heavy thundery downpours, a risk of large hail and also some strong gusty winds. Across Spain and Portugal, though, largely settled, plenty of sunshine, fairly similar across the Islands too. A mostly settled end to the week with a chance of more showers heading into the weekend and temperatures in the mid-20s.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
And
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Well, let's get stuck into taxis, shall we? Because I don't know how much some of you might have to pay if you've got to get get a taxi. Maybe you can't drive, and you maybe have to get a taxi to your doctor's surgery. Let's have a quick look at the front page of The Sun, shall we? Because there's this little story in the top corner here. Migrants free taxis to see GPs. Taxpayers are stumping up millions of pounds a year for taxis to take asylum seekers hundreds of miles to see doctors. The Home Office coughed up nearly, get this, £350,000 a month. Will?
You know, we laugh so we may not cry, Alex. Like, the funny thing is, you said let's get started on taxis. Well, taxis are part of the problem here, but the other part is that most of the people who are watching this show this evening can't get in to see a GP. Like, when we talk about a two-tier society, these are the types of stories that we're talking about. And these are the types of stories that make people so angry. It is not right. It is just not right that someone watching this show cannot get a GP appointment, and yet people who are not from this country, who have come here illegally, are getting ferried at taxpayer expense to see a doctor. It's wrong.
Yeah, Paul, because, you know, for me, 350 grand a month is excessive. And really, there's public transport in a lot of these places. Migrants aren't just put in the middle of rural places very often.
No.
And GPs, surely, if this was a better idea, would be to bring them to these migrant hotels if need be.
Yeah, it's the sort of stuff that if you were writing a sketch about this type of thing, you'd put ideas up on the board, and this would be one that you'd make up that was entirely so undefendable that it would be so ridiculous you could make humour from it. I mean, I don't envy you in a minute, Andy, because you are going to have to give us some contrasting views on this. But I don't think it is defendable. It's such a waste of money. We've painted ourselves into a corner with the immigration problem, and this type of spend... Can you imagine what you could spend 350 grand a month on?
Yeah, I could. I imagine.
I mean, yes. I know what your media types. I know what your media types are like, Alex. But I genuinely, if that money went back into the coffers of the government and just went to almost anything else, hospitals, children, the elderly, you know, people that have paid into society for years and years and years. I just don't understand. They wouldn't have contributed enough to have justified this at all. And there has to be a line drawn at some point, because charity starts at home.
Yeah, Andy, this is going to be appalling. And it's just a reminder, this is the top page of The Sun. We're not talking about Danny Dye quitting street. If you just look at the top...
Extremely important story, actually.
An important story, but maybe not one more important than this, Andy. How are the government going to defend this?
Well, I absolutely agree with Will. I think it is disgraceful that people in this country can't get GP appointments. They can't go into A&E and get seen within an hour. And I think that's what one of the great things about this Labour government is that Wes Streeting, who is considered, even amongst the right wings, as one of the best operators in government, is taking the health department seriously and is trying to reduce those waiting lists. I think it shouldn't be a kind of mutually exclusive society of where migrants and asylum seekers can see GPs for emergency care, but British people can't. I think both should be able to in a timely fashion. I think that's absolutely what we should be striving to achieve as a society.
Can I just give you this? Can I just give you interesting facts? Because it's £4.2 million a year. That's what we're talking about.
It's a lot of money.
Right? What should we be doing about this, Will?
Can I just clarify something? Because this is something that lefties don't understand. They are mutually exclusive, Andy, because we don't have infinite amounts of money. Socialists seem to think that money grows on trees and we can splash a bit here, a bit there, and everyone will be happy. We have scarce resources and time, which we need to prioritise towards where we think is most important.
So I'd ask a genuine question, you know, off the back of particularly Reform UK's indefinite leave to remain reforms, where foreign nationals, no matter their legal status in the UK, wouldn't be able to access welfare and benefits, whether it's the NHS or universal credit or whatever. If you're contributing your tax money, if you're here legally, say you're an American banker, you're paying hundreds of thousands of pounds into the tax system, you're not allowed to go to the NHS and get a GP appointment, even though you live in this country, pay more tax than probably most British citizens do. Do you think that's a fair society?
No, but that's a hypothetical policy from
it's not a hypothetical policy. It's the party that are leading the polls. They're saying that no foreign nationals are going to be able to use the NHS. Do you think that's really fair? If they're paying tax, they're here legally.
So, I don't think that's fair, actually.
Zia Yusuf's parents, even though they work in the NHS, would not be allowed to use the NHS as a point of service free access. They wouldn't be allowed to use it. But is that fair?
I mean, no, but it's an excellent way to get out of answering the question, which is it right that we are spending £350,000 a month on essentially asylum seekers to get taxis to GPs when none of us can afford taxis and none of us can see a GP?
Yeah, OK. Well, let's do a rundown, shall we, of your front pages one more time for you. Let's start with The Sun. On the top of the paper, migrants get free taxis to see GPs. And on the front page, Danny Dyer quits strictly after injury. The Daily Mail. Email damns Starmer's top aide in £740,000 donations row, including Tories demanding a police probe into Morgan McSweeney, Keir Starmer's Chief of Staff, and hidden funding for Sir Keir Starmer. The Times, shoot down Russian jets in NATO sky, says Donald Trump. That's a real change from his peace approach recently, isn't it? The Telegraph, Trump says the West is going to hell over migration and that Europe is invaded by illegal aliens. He also attacks Khan on Sharia law. The Express, $500,000 to lose winter fuel payments. We've just been talking about that. The Metro, US SIM farm plot smashed, dismantles telecoms shutdown threat during UN summit. The Guardian, Trump tells European leaders your countries are going to hell. The Independent, Trump tells UN your countries are going to hell over immigration. The Mirror, world's most powerful man baby. And that is all we have for you. The Late Show Live is coming up imminently. Let's speak to Bev Turner.
Thanks, Alex. That's the Pack Show for you today. What else can we talk about except Donald Trump's speech at the UN General Assembly today in New York? I'm going to be joined in the studio by a Democrat and a Republican. We're going to slug it out, basically. What did he say that was right and what did he say that was wrong? I've also done an interview with Seb Gorka. Of course, he's the Deputy Assistant to the President, and he does not hold back when it comes to issues such as illegal migration and beating drug gangs. We're also going to be talking about cancelled YouTubers being reinstated at the behest of the Trump government. We're going to talk to Neil Oliver about that. And, of course, the President today burnt down the net zero agenda, didn't he, there in New York? Was he right to do so? What might it mean for us in the UK when he speaks like that? Are our government paying any attention whatsoever? I want to hear from you as well. GBNews.com/your say. All of that after your weather.
This is your chance to win a motorhome and cash in our biggest giveaway to date. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be the proud owner of this 2025 Benamar Primero. It comfortably accommodates 4 people and can be driven on your standard driving licence. Plus, you'll also bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend on anything you like. Make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on